Subway NFL postgame show on CBSSports.com, and multiple ways to go with this one, but you want to talk about a heart-wrenching loss. Arizona took it on Sunday afternoon. 37-31 loss in overtime to the 49ers. Kurt Warner fumbling in his own end zone was covered by Tully Banta-Cain. Game over, but that only after Neil Rackers missed a 32-yard field goal, which could have won it in overtime. Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz, NFL.com's Pat Kirwan, CBS Sports' Charley Casserly, and guys, two of the three wins this year for First of all, San Francisco has now snapped an 8-game losing streak and won 6 in a row in overtime. But two of the losses this year for Arizona have been at the end to San Francisco. And you look at this one, Charlie, and you say, how? Explain it.
Well, it's a combination of a lot of factors. As good as Kurt Warner played today in amassing yardage and making some big throws, he threw 2 bad interceptions, bad decisions that led to 14 San Francisco points in the first half. And then he drops the ball in the end zone in overtime, gives up a touchdown there. So, turnovers. The other thing is penalties, dumb penalties. Arizona is one of the most heavily penalized teams in the league. I know that frustrates a guy like Ken Whisenant, who is the exact opposite of that as a player. He was a smart, heady player. His team doesn't always play like that. I know that's got to frustrate him.
That penalty you're talking, Neil Rackers made a 27-yard field goal, but it didn't count because they took a delay of game penalty. That's the game. You back him up 5 yards, okay, it's still a 32-yard field goal from the middle of the field. You got to make that kick, but he doesn't. And all of a sudden, San Francisco goes down and wins, and then a block in the back on a punt return, which is why they were on the 3-yard line in the first place, as opposed to the 11 or 12 where Steve Breston was tackled. The penalties definitely killed Arizona, but you got to give some credit to San Francisco in this game.
I want to give a lot of credit. When San Francisco got hot last year and we all got excited coming into this year that they're going to be a playoff team, it's because of a guy named Frank Gore. He struggled this year. He's played with injuries. He's been slowed down, but not today. The guy touches the ball 31 times for 211 yards. It's the Frank Gore we saw in 2006. He's back, and it's going to be a problem for the people that have to play him the rest of the way. To me, he was a difference maker all day long. He kept the team hanging around in a game they probably should have lost. Yep. And had a terrific day. And, Trent Dilfer, steady old guy, didn't make a lot of mistakes.
The other aspect to this is you talk about Trent Dilfer. We probably have seen the last of Alex Smith for the season with the injury to his shoulder. But you bring him in, and it's a stabilizing force. But this is a team in San Francisco that hasn't moved the football since September, since the beginning of September.
They don't have a lot of weapons. They don't have a lot of weapons on offense.
Where was Arizona's defense
Ask
today?
Charlie, once Frank Gore starts giving you a legitimate running back, you're going to land up having opportunities to throw the ball even if your receivers are average.
No, that's what happens. That opens up things with play action. It forces more people in the box. I think one thing that hurt Arizona today was they didn't have Adrian Wilson, their all-pro safety. The substitutes that they used in this game hurt them. It really hurt him poorly in the game, hurt him badly in the game.
And you pointed that out a couple of times as we were watching this. The other aspect of this is now for Arizona, a team that was staring 6-5 at the face and only a game back at Seattle, with the game against the Seahawks 2 weeks from now in Arizona, which would have been the battle for first place, knowing that they've already beaten Seattle once this season. Now they turn around, they're 5-6, they're 2 game back of the Seahawks, they're a game back of the wild card, and you've lost to San Francisco twice. Charlie, this is as emotionally tough of a game as you can have.
Well, it really is. But again, you're home next week with Cleveland. Cleveland right now, like Pat said, is gaining momentum towards a playoff berth. But the one thing with Arizona is this. They're a mentally tough team. They're a contradiction. I think they're mentally tough, yet I think they're careless. So I think they'll be ready for it, but somehow they got to overcome those penalties. But they'll come back and play well against Cleveland next week.
When you saw the look of those guys at the end of this game,
Kenny Whisenant won't get any sleep tonight as he reviews over and over in his mind what happened with that field goal and how they used up the clock and then had to take it back. They basically iced themselves in the game. And he's a guy that's pretty hard on himself, and he'll struggle with this.
It's tough for Neil Rackers, a guy who 2 years ago was so clutch and made almost every kick. Last year and this year, he has struggled. Charlie, you pointed it out earlier. The Washington game, he missed the game winner, and Chicago, people remember that from last year as well. It's been tough for Neil Rackers down there in Arizona. So they fall to 5-6. San Francisco snaps an 8-game losing streak. For more on this one or any other in Week 12, be sure to stay with CBSSports.com. Watch everything else on the CBS Audience Network. For Pat Kirwan and Charley Casserly, I'm Jason Horowitz. Plenty more to come in Week 13. It only gets better. We'll see you then, folks.